Thanks for joining us on Tandem Radio for a very special segment, By Design, focused on helping you understand how God designed you so that you may be healthy and productive in fulfilling God's purposes in your life for many years to come. Now let's join our host, health expert and public speaker, Dr. James Proodian.
Hello and welcome to the By Design radio program. My name is Dr. James Proodian of Proodian Healthcare and ProodianHealthcare.com, where health literacy is the key to longevity. And as long as God has us on this side of eternity, my show is designed to educate you and your families to feel better, function better, and live as many quality disease-free years as possible. We are long into our nutritional conversation. Actually, this is going to be week number 7 in an ongoing multi-part series. I have no idea how many weeks we're going to be covering the topic or the foundation of nutrition. And a few weeks ago, we left the foundation of nutrition. We were talking about inflammation and processed foods. If you want to go back into tandemradio.com, go to the archive shows. That was week number 21. That was show number 5. Basically, the first 5 shows I did were foundational nutritional shows, and then I followed them up with a bunch of topical shows. We did processed foods, artificial sweeteners, and sugars, and this is going to be another topical show. Basically, just giving you guys some real good meat and potatoes to take home, to use every day in your homes, in your kitchens, the way you shop, the way you go out for dinner. These are things we want to apply. I've used the illustration in the past of a baseball bat, and the way I teach, and being a teacher and running a program called Wellness at Work, which is my public speaking company, the way teaching should be employed, and the way I look at it, is I had to take my daughter to buy a softball bat, and one of the softball bats was $250 and one was $50. I bought her the $50 bat and spent $200 to get her lessons on to learn how to swing the bat. So it's really simple to give you top 10 lists of things you should eat, you shouldn't eat, this and that. I'd rather teach you how to swing the bat so you're equipped for a lifetime of hopefully healthy living, good wellness, and making sensible decisions. As with all of the shows, we're going to do our Bible verse, Luke 1:37. For with God nothing is impossible. The By Design radio show was really centered around that Bible verse, that we can make really serious changes in the way we feel, how we function, how long we live, by not following man's plan of food design, which is what we're doing now, poor exercise or the improper type of exercise, and really being in a constant state of fight or flight stress, which is causing a whole host of problems. I did those in my earlier shows, and we're going to pick up on stress in some upcoming weeks. So today I want to focus on a topic. Nutrition is our topic. Again, this is not a foundational show. It is a topical show. So that means my topical shows are to give you information, things that you could get and take home and use practically in your everyday. Proodian Healthcare is made up of Natural Healthcare Center, which is our physical location, 8,000 square foot facility where we do a whole host of services. But Wellness at Work is my public speaking company. And a lot of times when I'm speaking, I have about 32 presentations that I deliver for free to companies and organizations, churches, schools, what have you. Because I feel that education in this field is so woefully overlooked. I hope to leave you today with 7 weight gain myths, and typically I do not do top 10 lists, or in this case top 7 lists, but I found that these 7 weight gain myths were really based upon science and real facts. So I like this, and I wanted to share these 7 with you. So let's start. The 7 myths that most people believe cause them to gain weight. The myth number 1 is that we eat less and exercise more, and we're going to lose weight. So basically what the thinking there is, if we restrict calories, we're going to basically prevent starvation. Your body believes that if we restrict calories, it believes it's going into starvation. And we are equipped, God designed us, we are equipped inside of us to go into that starvation mode. So what we do is we slow down our metabolic rate to conserve energy. Remember, a calorie is equal to energy. So if we slow down our metabolic rate to conserve energy because we think we're starving to death, this triggers our blood so that we receive hunger signals that are really too strong to ignore, which lead to weight gain because our metabolic rate is slowed down. So when we do that, this cascade, if you will, of molecular changes that take place in us cause us to gain weight, even though we're restricting calories to lose weight. Myth number 2, you can control weight by counting calories. All calories are not created equal. Let's remember that. Food that enters your bloodstream quickly promotes weight gain. Food that enters your bloodstream slowly promotes weight loss. So for example, we just came out of a couple of weeks of me beating up sugar, and particularly sugar that's found in soda, which is high fructose corn syrup. So for example, the sugar from soda enters our bloodstream very rapidly. The calories aren't used in stored fat. Basically, the calories that we should be using in stored fat for energy are being used by this quick, rapid burst of bad sugar. Now, what happens is the same amount of sugar from kidney beans enters your blood slowly, but because the sugar from the soda is entered rapidly, you have a greater chance to not use those calories. So what I'm saying is the sugar that comes from the kidney beans enters slowly, and because your body has a greater chance to make use of those calories over time, more is burned and less is stored. Whereas with the sugar, more is stored and less is burned. And that is why sugar is the leading cause of obesity in our country. So, number 3, making fat makes you fat. We've been brainwashed to believe that if we eat fat, we'll get fat. There's one problem. Science does not support that myth. In the last 40 years, our national consumption of fat has decreased from 43% to 34% of our total calories. Eating less fat than ever is what we're doing, yet we're getting fatter. What's the reason? Low-fat diets are often rich in starchy or sugary carbohydrates. Once again, those are the ones that enter the bloodstream fast, which this causes our insulin levels to raise rapidly, and heightened insulin promotes weight gain. So that's a really interesting one. That's pure endocrinology and human physiology 101. You do not want to raise your insulin levels. The kids who go to the birthday parties and we feed them all the sugar and they're bouncing off the walls, and then like a half an hour later, they're almost in like a comatose state. That's the effect of insulin. Insulin will depress the sugar. So be very careful with the amount of sugar and how quickly it's entering the bloodstream. Myth number 4, eating no carbs or low carb will make you thin. Carbohydrates are actually the single most important food in your diet for long-term health. As with calories and fats, there are different types of carbs that interact with your genes, leading to remarkable difference in the effect. For instance, human beings have basically been created to metabolize with the highly processed and refined carbohydrates we eat that contribute to the major diseases. So our bodies were not designed this way. Okay, so our human bodies were not designed to metabolize highly processed refined carbohydrates. They contribute to type 2 diabetes, heart disease, dementia, cancer. Here's the good news. We were designed to process fruits, vegetables, whole grains, beans, good carbohydrates. The good carbohydrates that enter our bloodstream at a controlled rate, don't spike our insulin, have a large amount of fiber in them. And remember, fruits and vegetables have much more fiber in them than even whole grains do. Fruits and vegetables, particularly vegetables, is God's candy. Eat an abundance of it. So remember, eating no carb or low carb will make you thin is a myth. Number 5, skipping meals helps you lose weight. Now check this out. One of the reasons that Americans are getting to be so big as sumo wrestlers is because we actually eat like them. The sumo diet causes ordinary people to gain extraordinary amounts of weight. They skip breakfast, they train for 5 hours or so, working up a huge appetite. Then they eat an enormous meal, they nap for several hours, they eat dinner again, and then they go to sleep. So does skipping breakfast and eating a large meal just before sleep sound familiar? Well, hopefully it shouldn't to you, but it is the American way. Many people are not spacing out their meals properly. They're eating an abundance of food, a large amount of food late in the day, and skipping meals once again goes back to, I think it was myth number 2, where your metabolic rate is actually damaged by not supplying calories into your body. Healthy calories. I don't mean calories that are found in cupcakes and sugar. I mean healthy, God-given calories to sustain energy so we're not spiking our insulin. Myth number 7. It's called the French paradox meets the American. The French have a reputation as a culture. They know about food. They know what to do with it. They eat very healthy. The French eat more fat, drink more wine, and yet suffer less heart disease and are less obese than Americans. Well, that's only part of the story. The truth is the French diet eat real food. It's fresh, it's full of nutrients, and it's minimally processed. And they eat less food than we do. They actually eat less food than we do. Yet they eat food more slowly than Americans do, and they walk more than we do. So what does all that mean? I'm not, by the way, advocating drinking wine in this analogy. It was just something that I took out of the article that I was reading. They eat less food, but the quality of their food is much better than the American diet. And that's why France and Italy rank number 1 and number 2 in the world in health. The last is myth number 7, food politics. Government and the industry are the guardians of our health. An obese America is big business for the food and pharmaceutical companies. The food industry spends more than $33 billion annually on marketing. 70% of those dollars go into pushing fast food, convenient food, candy, snacks, soft drinks, alcoholic beverages, and desserts. Only 2.2% is spent on advertising for fruits, vegetables, grains, or beans. The main classes of drugs for treating high cholesterol are amongst the biggest selling in American history. Our government can't find enough money to fund public health campaigns to promote the scientific principles of good nutrition, but we can increase agricultural subsidies from $18 billion in 1996 to $28 billion in 2000 to supply a glut of soybeans and corn that's transformed in the laboratories into toxic food additives, sugar substances, and superfats known as high fructose corn syrup. And of course hydrogenated soybean oil. So here is our government and the pharmaceutical company pumping billions, $33 billion annually, into manufacturing food. And this industrialized waste has caused this host of chronic illness. The jury is not out on this. The research is in. It's been substantiated and proven that our weight loss, our obesity, our type 2 diabetes, which is epidemic throughout our country, is man-made. So our 7 points that promote weight gain, you can email me if you'd like me to send you a copy of this. Please go to the ProodianHealthcare.com homepage and you can submit a question. I'd be happy to respond to it and I'll forward you this information. The other thing we could do is if you're looking to see me in March at Natural Healthcare Center, we are having a youth sports scoliosis and postural screening. So if you have, this is all done complimentary for the community. So if you'd like to bring anyone under the age of 18 down, we'll be happy to screen them. You've been listening to the By Design radio program. Thanks for joining me this week. God bless you and have a wonderful week.
You've been listening to By Design with Dr. James Proodian of Proodian Healthcare. To learn more, visit us at tandemradio.com, that's tandemradio.com, or on Facebook. And don't forget to email us with your questions. We'd love to hear from you. In the meantime, hope you have a healthy week, and we look forward to you joining us next time for more fantastic insights from Dr. James Proodian on By Design, a special production of Tandem Radio.